Trade war versus Africa. How global trade turned a continent into a battlefield. Wars don't always come with soldiers. Sometimes they come with ships, with contracts, with tariffs, with rules. Africa wasn't conquered just once. It was conquered again through trade, not with violence, but with free markets. This is the story of how global trade didn't lift Africa up, it locked it in. Part 1. The Promise of Free Trade. After colonialism officially ended, Africa was offered a new deal. Not domination, participation. Open your borders, lower tariffs, export your resources, import what you need, and development will follow. This was called free trade. But free trade only works when players are equal. Europe and America already had factories, capital, technology, and subsidies. Africa had raw materials, weak currencies, and fragile institutions. This wasn't cooperation, it was exposure. When African markets opened, foreign goods poured in, cheaper, mass-produced, heavily subsidized. Local businesses couldn't compete, not because they were lazy, but because they were young. Before they could grow, they were wiped out. Part 2. Export raw, import poverty. Africa exports enormous wealth every year: oil, gold, cocoa, copper, rare minerals. But it exports them in their cheapest form, raw. Take cocoa. West Africa produces over 70% of the world's cocoa, yet nearly all chocolate is made in Europe. Why? Because raw cocoa enters rich countries cheaply. Processed chocolate is taxed heavily. So Africa exports beans and imports chocolate at many times the price. The same pattern repeats everywhere. Oil exporters import fuel. Cotton exporters import clothes. Mineral exporters import electronics. Africa sells what comes out of the ground. The world sells what comes out of factories. And factories are where power lives. Trade didn't fail Africa. Trade froze Africa at the bottom of the value chain. Part 3. When Africa tried to break free. By the 1960s and 70s, African leaders saw the trap. They tried something dangerous: industrialization. Governments raised tariffs, built factories, restricted imports. This strategy was called import substitution, and for a brief moment, it worked. Nigeria built textile industries. Ghana expanded food processing. Tanzania invested in manufacturing. Jobs were created, skills developed, value stayed local. Africa wasn't trying to dominate global trade, it just wanted space to grow. But global trade doesn't tolerate disobedience. Protection was labeled inefficient. State industry was labeled corruption. Then came the real punishment: debt. Part 4. Debt, the silent trade weapon. By the late 1970s, Africa faced a new crisis. Not invasion, not colonization, debt. Loans taken to stabilize currencies, loans taken after oil shocks, loans taken to fund development promised by the same institutions offering advice. At first, the money felt like relief, but debt is never neutral, it's leverage. When global interest rates rose in the early 1980s, repayment became impossible. Currencies collapsed, budgets exploded, export earnings couldn't keep up. That's when the creditors arrived: IMF, World Bank, Western lenders. Not as enemies, as helpers. Help came with conditions, structural adjustment programs. Tariffs were slashed, state factories were privatized or shut down, subsidies were removed, healthcare, education, industry, all reduced in the name of efficiency. African governments were told this pain was temporary, that markets would self-correct, that competition would bring growth. Instead, foreign goods flooded in, produced by companies backed by subsidies and scale. Local factories collapsed. Textiles, food processing, manufacturing, gone in a generation. And the imbalance was clear. Africa opened its markets fully. Rich countries kept their protections. This wasn't free trade, it was one-sided exposure. Debt turned economic advice into obligation. Trade policy became conditional. Budgets were approved abroad. Sovereignty faded quietly. Africa didn't lose control overnight, it signed it away. By the 1990s, Africa was more connected to global trade than ever, yet less industrial than before. Debt had done what force no longer could. It locked Africa into the bottom of the system. Part 5. The Modern Trade War and the Real Lesson. Today, Africa sits in the middle of a new trade war. The West wants resources. China wants influence. Corporations want profit. Everyone wants Africa, but not African industry. Infrastructure is built. Ownership stays external. Trade volumes rise. Value leaves the continent. The battlefield has changed. The outcome hasn't. Because the real war isn't about trade, it's about control. Control of value chains, manufacturing, currencies, and rules. Trade without power isn't partnership, it's surrender. Until Africa controls what it makes and how it trades, every trade war will be fought on its soil, and Africa will keep paying the price.